Good morning, lovely students. I hope you are all safe and you are keeping to the strict rules of COVID-19. It is very important we stick to those rules. For our lesson today, I'll be taking you through phrases or a phrase under the aspect grammar. So for our objective for the lesson, the students will be able to identify phrases in context. The student will be able to identify phrases in context. Then the student will also be able to identify types of phrases in context. You should know that this particular phrase is this type or kind of phrase. Very good. Now, before we zoom into our major lesson, I want to pose this question. What is a sentence? What are the features of a sentence or characteristics of a sentence? What makes this a sentence? Very good. So if your answers are a sentence should end with a full stop, you are correct. A sentence can also end with a question mark, you are correct. A sentence should begin with a capital letter, you are correct. A sentence should have a subject and a predicate, you are correct. So, in short, we can define a sentence to be made up of group of words which makes complete thoughts. They make sense. Okay, they make sense. And a sentence should have a subject and a predicate. It should have a subject and a predicate. It should begin with a capital letter. It should end with a full stop where it is necessary, or a question mark when you're asking a question. Very good. So, quickly, let us look at a phrase. So, a phrase can be defined as group of words that can be represented by one word. Let's make it more explicit, where we say that a phrase is a group of words that does not have a subject and a finite verb. It does not have a subject and a finite verb. I hope that is clear. So, for a phrase, there is no subject. When we say a subject of a sentence, it's the doer of the action in a sentence. So for a phrase, we're just going to do without the subject. So in another words, it is part of a sentence. It is part of a sentence. So it's going to also express an incomplete thought or idea. It's going to express an incomplete thought or idea. So example, if someone just confronts you and the person tells you that, or make this statement, the woman, you are wondering, what is this person saying? What do you mean by the woman? In the room, what do you mean by in the room? So it is part of the sentence. So the woman in the room is sleeping. That is a complete sentence. Amma is my friend. It is a sentence. Because when I tell you, it does make sense. But we're saying that for a phrase, it won't make sense. So it is that part of the sentence that does not make sense. Very good. So let's look at the examples on our screen. The boy is an example of a phrase. The boy. In the garden. In the garden. Have eaten. Have eaten. So you realize that for this group of words I've just read out, they are formed from part of a sentence. So the boy, this is incomplete, an incomplete idea. In the garden, it's incomplete, have eaten. So we're saying that a phrase does not make complete thought. It is without a subject. So don't tell me because you have the boy that is the subject. The boy is not the subject here because we don't have a whole sentence here to consider the boy as a subject. This is just part of a sentence. I hope that is clear. Very good. Let us proceed to our next thing we want to look at. So we want to look at types of phrase. Types of phrase. So we have many types of. We want to look at a noun phrase, a verb phrase, an adjective phrase or adjectival phrase, an adverbial phrase or adverb phrase. Then we have prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase. But I think our main focus will be on 3 for today. So we're going to look at a noun phrase, a verb phrase, and then an adjective phrase. Very good. So what is a noun phrase? I believe you all know what a noun is. So you define a noun to be a name of a person, animals, places, things, event, idea, etc. Right? Yes. Or we say a noun is a naming word. So let's look at what a noun phrase here has been defined to be. So it's a group of words that performs the function of a noun. It performs the function of a noun. So it will name a thing. Very good. So I guess that makes sense. It names a thing. It names an animal. It names a person. It names, we can mention a whole lot, an idea or any object. So noun phrase mostly begins with a determiner followed by a noun. Determiner. I believe we know what a determiner is. Yes. So determiners such as the, a, an, some, etc. We have a whole lot of this. Okay. So it means that where you have a sentence, the boy gave little attention to his studies. The boy gave little attention to his studies. I just want us to identify just one phrase in the sentences. That is why you have just one underline. So a sentence can have more than one phrase, but the main focus is the noun phrase. So let us look at this carefully. The boy gave little attention to his studies. We are saying that a phrase is part of a word. So the question we have here is, who gave little attention to his studies? The boy. So it answers a question. Who gave little attention to his studies? The boy. So we have the boy as that part of the sentence giving us the noun phrase. We know that boy is a noun. And we're saying that for most noun phrases we'll have a determiner coming before the noun. Very good. Now we have some students are refusing to write the exams. Some students are refusing to write the exams. So for this sentence, I've just underlined one phrase, that is the noun phrase. So I have some students are refusing, so I have just some students underlined as the noun phrase. Then I have a beautiful shoe. Very good. This is a noun phrase because we have underlined the article or the determiner a. So I have a beautiful shoe. I hope that is clear. So where you have an article attached or a determiner attached to the noun you want to underline, then it means you are underlining a noun phrase. I hope that is making sense. Can you form more of these sentences on your own? Yes. Okay. An adjectival phrase or an adjective phrase. It is a group of words that function as an adjective. It means we should also know what an adjective is. It's function as an adjective. What's an adjective? What is an adjective? An adjective word is what? It's a describing word. An adjective is a describing word. It describes a word. An adjective modifies a noun. Okay, it's a modifier. It adds more meaning. So example, my mom bought a beautiful yellow dress for me. You have not just told us that your mom bought a dress for you. You have told us that the dress looks beautiful. And you have also told us that the color of the dress is yellow. So you have added more meaning to the dress your mother bought. So that is an adjective. And so for an adjectival phrase, we say that it qualifies either a noun or pronoun. We should know that. An adjectival phrase qualifies a noun or a pronoun, just like an adjective would do. And an adjective becomes the head of the phrase. An adjective becomes the head of the phrase. So let's look at this. We have the man is very hard working. The man is very hard working. So with this, we have very hard working. We know very is also an adjective. Very good. And we know hard working is also an adjective. So if I said the boy is hard working, it's an adjective. I'm describing the boy. Is that clear? Okay. More examples to this. Yes. So, if you form a sentence like, my mother gave me a brown wristwatch, what do you think the adjectival phrase there will be? My mother gave me a brown wristwatch. We have color there as an adjective, so brown wristwatch. You have underlined your adjectival phrase. I hope that is clear. We should note that for an adjectival phrase, it will have an adjective as the head. The adjective will give you the go ahead to underline. It will tell that, yes, this is an adjectival phrase. So don't forget that. Okay. Now for the last we want to look at for today, a verb phrase. A verb phrase. So say a verb phrase is a group of words performing the function of a verb. A verb phrase is a group of words performing the function of a verb. What is a verb? So the question is, what is a verb? A verb is what? It's a doing word. It performs an action. So you can have an auxiliary verb beginning that for you. You know what an auxiliary verb? They are helping verbs. Very good. So we have is the verb to be. Is that not it? Very good. We have the verb to have, the verb to do. Those are auxiliary verbs we learned in our previous lesson. You should also not forget that the verb will begin the phrase. So example, has gone, are playing. Has gone, are playing. Now let's look at what we have here. Sewa is traveling abroad next week. Sewa is traveling abroad next week. So what is the verb? You ask us, what is the verb? So we have is and we have traveling. So these two becomes our what? Verb phrase. Becomes our verb phrase. Very good. Okay. So just to sum up and to clear your doubts, for our lesson today, we have looked at a phrase in general, and we have said that a phrase is made up of a group of words that does not have a subject and a finite verb. We also said that it expresses an incomplete thought on idea. When such a statement is made, it does not make sense. And we gave some examples, like we have on our slide. The boy in the garden have eaten. So the boy here is a noun phrase. In the garden, there is a prepositional phrase. Then have eaten becomes a verb phrase. So whereas that for the boy we have a determiner or an article and then the noun follows. Then for in the garden we have a preposition. In is a position. Then we have the garden. So because we have in beginning, we call this what? Prepositional phrase. Then have eaten. We have a verb begin. So this is a verb phrase. I hope that is clear. Then also look at types of phrases to tell you that we have many types of phrases. So we have many types of phrase. We have noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, prepositional phrase. But for our lesson today, we have just looked at three phrases. That is a noun phrase, an adjective phrase, and then a verb phrase. And we have defined a noun phrase, to be that phrase that perform the function of a noun. And we explain what the noun is. We gave examples, and we also looked at what can be used to classify the noun phrase. We said that it should come with an article or with a determiner. Okay, so like we have the example on our slide. Then we also talked about an adjectival phrase. It's made up of group of words and they function as an adjective. And we also said that an adjective begins it. An adjective always is the head of that group of words you want to underline if it's an adjectival phrase. Very good. Then for our lesson today, the last thing we mentioned we talked about is a verb phrase. We find it to be made up of group of words performing the function of a verb. Performing the function of a verb. Very good. And we gave examples to be has gone, are playing, and we have a sentence and we have underlined words in it identified as verb phrase. Very good. I'll urge you to practice more on your own. And as you do that, you get familiar with the lesson. I would also want you to do everything possible to have the note copied into your notebooks. Don't just listen to the audio, copy the notes into your notebooks for reference and for examination sake. Wish you a blissful day. I'll meet you another time. But don't forget, your health is our concern. Bye-bye.